second after a 16-second stop. No major trouble, just a tick slow. He said his car was tighter at the end of that run, so they made a wedge and air pressure adjustment, helping that 48 car hopefully on the next run. This is Steve Burns.
Well, Matt, Jeff Gordon came in. He said that his car was tight in the middle, which delays his ability to get back on the gas pedal. So they went down a half-pound on the right rear. Now, Ricky Rudd had trouble in the pits. They made no adjustments, but he was blocked in by the 97. They had to push him backwards so he could get it in gear. That cost him some spots on pit road.
Now, Steve, with the leader caught up in this, a lot of drivers were able to get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, about 10 or 12.
Yeah, in particular, Bobby Labonte right here, the 18 car, Michael Waltrip, to 15 as well.
The best stop was that of Jeff Gordon, who comes out first.
They knew it was a good stop.
Oh, yeah, you come out, he's leading the race.
Now Dale Earnhardt Jr. coming out of his pit.
Yeah, the 30 car, I think he didn't really want to let Junior in front of him, but that wasn't very wise on the 30 car's part, Larry, because that wasn't necessary.
No, and I mean, this pit road is hardly not wide for two cars to run side by side, going down pit road beside each other.
Drivers who got back on the lead lap include Stacy Compton,
He's gotta go.
Jeff Burton, Michael Waltrip, Bobby Labonte.
Get caught up.
This crash collects our race leader. We're under caution at Dover. Under caution, cleaning up the crash of Steve Park and Ryan Newman on the back straightaway. Newman was able to continue, but it collected up our leader, Mark Martin.
This is what I would call the perfect storm.
Yes.
Right here, you see these cars come off the corner. Now you're going to see the 12 and the 1 come into front. Here they come. Now look, they're up high. Here's Mark back here coming off of the corner. They got the outside blocked. You got cars going by Mark on the inside here. There's the M&M's car down there, Kenny. Now, we call this a self-cleaning track. So you would assume that that one car is going to go all the way to the bottom. But look at this. He locks up and stops right in front of Mark. And Mark he couldn't go outside. He couldn't go inside. Right into the one car.
He was painted in a box.
Steve Burns.
And Mike, we've caught up with Steve Park. Steve, tell us what happened.
Look on TV, the 12 car just smacked right into the side of the Pennzoil car, and it's just a shame. We had a good car. With a car that we thought would run in the top 10, and you know, just to have a rookie take us out is just unbelievable. I don't know what to say. I'm trying to be polite, and you know, all you hear about is the young guns. I think they need to take a lesson from some of the old drivers, without doubt.
Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, Mark Martin has made 3 pit stops trying to have his crew repair the damage to the nose of that car. Crew Chief Ben Leslie has told him, take it fast into one of the corners, see what it's like. Mark did that, came back and said it's pushing. Nothing is dragging on the racetrack, but the aerodynamics are absolutely destroyed. Mark Martin out of the lead in the back of the pack as we come to green. Mike?
He is still on the lead lap, but now it's going to be 2 Chevys and 3 Dodges at the front of the field. Jeff Gordon, Jimmie Johnson, Bill Elliott, Sterling Marlin, and Kyle Petty bring them down for the restart.
And they have a gauge in the car, some of the cars do, to tell him that the water system is still pressurized. And that's how he knew he didn't have any radiator damage.
For the first time on restart, the leader had a lot of lap cars to contend with, just like the second through about the 10th place race car. All those lap cars to the inside. Yeah, Mark Martin has 2 problems. One, he's killed his front downforce because of the way the front end's tore up. The other thing is there's a box behind that front end that directs the air through the radiator, and I'm sure that radiator ductwork box is killed. So they will have to keep an eye on that water temperature in particular.
He is 28th, the last car on the lead lap, as a lot of drivers got back on the lead lap due to Martin's misfortune.
Yeah, well, what Mark will have to do now is feel his car out and see what it's doing.
Spencer dives to pit road, almost didn't make it.
Boy, that was... He just
black flag on the restart.
He just about caught that barrier, those tires there at the end of the pit wall. It's easy to do here.
He was trying to hustle in there quickly so he wouldn't lose a lap on this penalty stop. Stop and go for Spencer. Off he goes. He's going to lose that lap before he gets up to speed.
Yeah, while he was penalized, NASCAR says when they give the 1 to go, everybody has to be in position by the time you get to turn 3, and he was still trying to get in line at turn 3.
Watch this, man. He comes down on the apron and you pick up a lot of sand, debris on your tires. Ooh, baby.
And this is one of the most treacherous pit roads to try to get on because it starts down there in the middle of turn 4.
That's one of the times when you want to push the brake pedal harder, but you got to get off of it.
And right now, Jimmie's going to be 2 laps down because he had to run 35 miles an hour down pit road while these guys are out there running around this mile racetrack at a little over 24 seconds.
Kyle Petty being passed by Ricky Rudd puts one Ford in the top 5, along with 2 Chevys and 2 Dodges, those being Elliott and Sterling Marlin. So Kyle drops 1 spot to 6th. Let's go to his pit.
Today marks the 199th start since Kyle Petty's last win, which came right here at Dover on June 5th, 1995, and his car has really come to life. Stephen Lane, what have you guys done to the 45?
Well, on that first stop, we had to close the right front shock off just to slow the right front down, getting off into the corner. Other than that, just pull a little tape off, and it's been good all day. Hopefully we can run in the top 5 all day. Be a good birthday present for Kyle.
Kyle told me this morning, he said, we've kind of been like a Pac-Man, just slowly munching our way up, getting some consistency. The first 3 races this season, his average finish was 36. The last 9 average finishes, 17.
That's an impressive game, Matt.
Yeah, and you know, the question I have is Tony Stewart. Larry, he was up there in the top 10, had passed a lot of cars, got himself in great position. And what happened to him, Matt?
There is Stewart back behind Brett Bodine. Now Brett is 1 lap down. Stewart is back in 23rd position.
Yeah, I mean, he started in 25th. He had worked his way into the top 10, and then after that pit stop under that last caution, he fell all the way back to almost 27th. And now, as you say, he's back up to 23rd.
That's the way this racetrack is. If your favorite driver's not doing good, go to the souvenir stand. By the time you get back, he's likely to be back in contention.
And I guarantee you, I got Matt finding out what happened to the 20 car. He'll let me know here as soon as he can, if he doesn't give out a breath getting to their pit.
Sterling is closing in on Bill Elliott for 3rd place. The point leader, who, as we've documented, had not a good weekend, and even this morning questionable about his chances today. But he's found a high line he likes, and he's closing up on Bill Elliott for 3rd place.
I tell you what, when I'm not very good at a racetrack, I just wait till Sunday morning because I got notes from everybody out there. The driver goes on a reconnaissance mission, the crew chief does, the team does. By Sunday morning, you know what everybody's got. Pick one.
Right.
I mean, you talked about all the problems Sterling Marlin has had qualifying here and in practice. They also had some inspection problems on Friday. The tail of the car was too wide.
I think first time in the top 10 for Dale Jarrett. Robert Yates, UPS Ford, in 10th place behind Elliott Sadler. And there's his serial scoring throughout the day.
Now the big brown truck in the ads has got flames on it, but I don't know why they don't put flames on that 88 car.
Well, all I know is the big blue truck with Lowe's on the hood. He's all over the rear bumper of his parked car owner, Jeff Gordon, at 24. We're going to have a battle for the lead here off turn 4 as they're side by side.
Not for long.
I wouldn't call that a battle.
I wouldn't either.
You know who owns that blue and silver car?
You do the math.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Sterling just climbed the hill and has fallen way back from Bill Elliott. He climbed the hill down in 3 and had himself a bit of a problem. Dropped back quite a bit. Okay, Matt Yoakum's had a chance to catch his breath. Matt, how about that 20?
Well, Mike, we're down here in the 20 pit. Tony Stewart back in 23rd. Greg Zippinelli, what's wrong with your race car?
It wasn't too bad. It just gave up too much on the long run. Felt like the back end was up on the racetrack. So we elected to give up track position early, pull some rubbers out of both rear springs, and see if we can't just get the back down in the racetrack a little bit more and get him that feel he's looking for. Hopefully we can get up through traffic here and stay out of trouble.
He has been Mr. Dover lately, winning 2 of the last 4. He led 405 laps back in 2000, but only 5 last year. He's trying to get that Dover feel back, DW.
I think they had to have some kind of power. They did something major because they had to in the pits so long.
But I mean, that just goes to show you how good these crews are on pit road. I mean, it don't take that long to pull a rubber out of a rear spring. They have a little handle on them. What they elected to do early in the race, go ahead and give that track position up, pull those rubbers out of both rear springs. It softens the rate of those springs. That way, under acceleration, it will have better forward bite. The rear wheels will hook up on the throttle off the corner.
And having won here and knowing what it takes to win here, now is the time to make the changes. Get the car right so you're good at the end of the day.
Talk about big changes. How about Dale Earnhardt Jr.? Darrell, he was almost lapped during the first long green flag run. Now he's up to 8.
I think he just found it. I think he's adjusted his car, made it better. He's running a high line. Finally found a place where the car feels pretty good to him. He's going on.
Of course, he won the race here in September, the last time the cars were here. You see the Fox tracks now. This is an interval to our leader, Jimmie Johnson, about 6 3/4 seconds. Not really shrinking, just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit.
I think this is a racetrack, Larry, and you know this, that you win the race in the pits. The team that can keep up with the changing racetrack conditions and adjust their car to those conditions is the teams that win here.
But boy, down in 3 and 4 here, 1 and 2, I mean, he's running at the top of the black. He's running higher than anybody. He's trying to create even another groove up there.
And the reason I say that is because all through the weekend you run right around the bottom. All of a sudden you're up in the middle of the racetrack, and before the day's over, you're up around the top of it. You've got to have a car that'll run everywhere.
But it looks like he's almost, because he's going up there, he's driving it in deep. He's hesitating a lot in the center of the corner, and that's why Elliott Sadler pulls up on him right there just past the center of the corner.
Now, I'll tell you who else has tried that high line is Sterling Marlin, especially down at the north end of the speedway, turns 1 and 2. But for Marlin, it's not working as well as it is, as he's about to be caught by Ricky Rudd. There's Rudd in the picture, and that's the battle for 4th place.
And I tell you, it's fun to drive a car up high like that. I mean, you sail it off in a corner, and it goes up there headed for the fence, and you bang the throttle, jerk that wheel to the left, and come off that corner. You say, man, I'm a race car driver.
Well, I tell you, a car that went from the pit house to the outhouse, our leader from a while ago, Mark Martin, in the 6 car, here in just about 15 laps. Leaders have already lapped him, so that just goes to show you how that little hit over there affected that race car. He's a lap down now.
Mark led 77 laps. Looked as if he was on a way to a repeat of his Charlotte victory, but got caught up in the misfortunes of Ryan Newman and Steve Park. Jimmie Johnson leads his teammate Jeff Gordon by 0.6 of a second. Bill Elliott, Ricky Rudd, Sterling Marlin, the top 5.
Welcome back to the MBNA Platinum 400. A quick recap. Matt Kenseth, who was on the pole and had to start 39th, moved all the way up inside the top 10. Todd Bodine taking out Joe Nemechek. His day finished. Then Steve Park and Ryan Newman slipping and sliding. And the leader at the time, Mark Martin, runs into Park. And after leading for 77 laps, is out of the picture. And in the picture, Jeff Gordon and Jimmie Johnson, as those two share the lead and battle for it right now. And if you need more NASCAR, check out Speed Channel tomorrow at 7 Eastern, 9 Pacific. NASCAR Inside Winston Cup with the guys that are living it every weekend. Michael Waltrip, Johnny Benson, Kenny Schrader, and your host Alan Bestwick. Then Wednesday, Winston Cup Wednesday, with a replay of this week's race. Exclusive interviews from the drivers' teams. To get Speed Channel, call 888-22-SPEED. That's 888-22-SPEED. Watching from the Hollywood Hotel, Chris Myers with Jeff Hammond and the Hendrick Motorsports. Jeff Gordon trying to end a streak, by the way, that's gone 20 races without a win, but he did win here, remember, last year and dominated, leading 381 laps.
Yeah, and the thing is right now, Chris, if I was Jimmie Johnson, I think I'd let my owner lead this thing. I mean, he knows how to pace himself, and that aggressive pace may not do Jimmie any good as far as this long run's concerned.
Well, let's relate it to last week. Jimmie led 263 laps at Lowe's Motor Speedway, but there were some other mistakes that may have cost him.
Well, again, inexperience. He is a rookie. He may have run some Busch races, but this is Winston Cup, a whole different level. And sometimes a miscue can cost you a win, and I think that's what happened to him last week.
Speaking of the young gun, Steve Park, some harsh words for Ryan Newman, who he thinks created that, and then Mark Martin's wreck saying the young guns ought to let the veterans, or at least take a cue and learn a few lessons from the veterans. We'll see if Johnson does that with his owner, and there are some of the veterans.